Supervisor Daly, additional motions.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, let's be honest about what happened and what didn't happen in this budget process. There was enormous pressure placed on members of this board. It was generated mostly from Newsom's reelection campaign, which is, I think, illegal. With that said, regardless of where it came from, colleagues, or its political motivation, there was pressure placed on this board. Supervisor Peskin acquiesced to that pressure, and that's fine. Some people engage in this job from looking to sort of navigate treacherous waters with least possible political damage. Other people are here for principle, and that's what I stand on. And I'm comfortable moving forward as long as you'll have me with different combinations. It seems as if the deal is done. No one wants to touch Daly. Daly is radioactive, and fine. But it doesn't mean that there aren't contradictions in this budget. It doesn't mean that because of a political deal, we're appropriating monies to places that don't need the money, like other things. And it doesn't change the fact that there are cuts proposed, and there are actually layoffs of what I feel are important areas of government work, where people actually rely on these services while there are new hires in other areas. And this is a law and order budget, and some of y'all like that. I don't. So I'm probably going to vote against it. You're going to vote for it. That's fine. I would make a motion that we reduce $700,000 from the police department. I guess we'll probably have to re-queue or delay hiring or an academy class and reappropriate that $700,000 into the Department of Public Health to avert the elimination of the public health nurses and colleagues on the issue of public health nurses. This is not the first time that this cut proposal has been made by the administration. Probably the third or fourth time we've dealt with it in committee. We've dealt with it through the budget process. It's very frustrating when we get repeated proposed health cuts. So this is the chronic care public health nurses. $700,000 would move. The source be a $700,000 reduction from the police department. The recommended way to do that would be a delayed class.
Motion made by Supervisor Daly. Is there a second for that motion?
So without a second, colleagues, let me say this. You're okay by not seconding this motion, each and every one of you. That's all 10. And if this is okay with you and this is the direction you want to take San Francisco, this is fine. But we have the opportunity right now to say, let's delay the hiring of new police officers and stop the firing of public health nurses. That's the opportunity. That's the motion. I'm looking for a second.
Supervisor Daly, let me just clarify a point of fact. And it is my understanding that we restored one of the two proposed cuts to public health nurses. I believe, if my recollection serves me, that was a restoration in an amount of $378,000 for maternal public health nurses, pursuant to hearings that we had last year that clearly delineated that that was the policy priority of the Board of Supervisors. It is my understanding that the 5.27 vacant full-time equivalent public health nurses, that the 5.27 full-time equivalent public health nurses are not layoffs but are vacant positions. But before you say layoffs, let me just clarify whether or not people are being laid off or whether this is just a numbers game of vacant positions not being funded. Ms. Coloretti, can you clarify that for me?
Thank you. Nani Coloretti, Mayor's Budget Director. It's our understanding, and we've talked to the department extensively about this, that there will be no layoffs of public health nurses due to this cut. There are enough vacancies at the department, and these nurses are needed in those positions.
Supervisor Daly, the floor is yours.
Let me retract my statement layoff and say defunding of positions. Colleagues, if you remember from those hearings, public health nurse after public health nurse came forward and talked about the difficulty of convincing nurses to take these positions when it seemed as if these positions were basically being treated as political footballs. I think that this cut proposal would confirm the concerns that were raised in those hearings about the way that the department and City Hall has engaged with the public health nurse program in order to basically make it difficult to recruit for those positions. Remake my motion to delay the hiring of police officers to the amount of $700,000 to restore the positions in the Department of Public Health for chronic care public health nurses. This is a simple motion, colleagues, and if I can't get a second on this motion, then I might as well sit down and vote no and, go to something else that perhaps is more productive than engaging with you 10 colleagues.
Motion made by Supervisor Daly dies for lack of a second on items 4 and additional motion. Supervisor McGoldrick, your name is on the roster.
Thank you very much, colleagues. I would first of all, let me say that an awful lot of what obviously Supervisor Daly has proposed here, I think many of us are incredibly sympathetic, and I think that we have over the years proven that. And I think that we will continue to visit and revisit a lot of the parts and pieces there as we go forward. As we go forward in the budget, I wanted to pause for just a moment. I wanted to thank in particular everybody involved in it, particularly the 5